We throw the word accountability around a lot these days, but let's be honest, most of what we're seeing online isn't accountability. It's public punishment, reputation warfare, and most of it is being driven by people who haven't even met the person they're trying to destroy. Welcome back to Evolving with Amy, a place for growth, self-discovery, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today we're talking about cancel culture. There's a dark obsession of calling people out when you're not actually in community with them. And a lot of it is rooted in jealousy, control, and projection. I have been waiting to talk about this topic until I myself felt okay emotionally because I have been going through a lot personally. And I think it's important for you guys to hear this from a creator's perspective so that maybe you can also understand the other side. First of all, let's talk about what accountability actually means. True accountability requires relationship, context, and a chance to repair. You can't hold someone accountable that you've never spoken to, worked with, or known in real life because accountability is rooted in mutuality, not mob mentality. And nowadays, we're seeing a lot of people being held accountable out of assumptions of what you think you know based on the information that they decide to share, one, or two, of the baggage that you've decided to compile against this person. If you've never been in the room with someone, never shared space, and never had a real conversation, what you're doing isn't accountability. It is judgment without intimacy. It's public punishment without any chance to repair what's happening. And before I even continue, I want to remind you that we are all imperfect. None of us can point the finger at one person and say that what they're doing is so much worse than anything you've ever done. Because let's be real, if we're going to hold others accountable, are we actually holding ourselves accountable? People make mistakes, but also people grow. And are we giving people the grace and the compassion and the kindness to allow a space for growth? Or are we really supposed to be holding them accountable for the rest of their life? People grow, people change. And I think those people holding these people or businesses accountable are people that actually refuse to change. And it somewhat stems from jealousy. But we'll get into that. Because what we're actually seeing is punishment disguised as justice. What people call accountability is often just rage performance. You have people exposing old tweets, demanding they be fired, posting their apology and still dragging them anyway, posting private information like people's addresses, showing up to their job, showing up to their houses, and intimidating them. Yet on the other side, we're preaching for justice. We want justice from those people with power, but we're doing the opposite to the people that we're seeing online. In this accountability act, the goal isn't healing, apparently. How much can we actually dig out of this person's life and put it as a movie for others to watch? It's gossiping. Because really, if we think about it, what's it to you anyway? What's it to you that somebody is getting a divorce? What's it to you that somebody decided to break up with this person and now wants to date somebody else? What's it to you if they're selling their house? What's it to you? We say it's about accountability, but there's no plan for what happens after. Because as long as we take them down, it doesn't matter. We've won. After the apology, after the job is lost, after the family is harassed. So if you're not leaving any room for repair, what are you really doing? That's literally hunting. And it's so disturbing to see it over and over and over again at the name of accountability. This isn't accountability. And I need you to understand that anytime you are partaking in this sort of gossiping or sharing information or canceling someone, I'm gonna be straight up, you're only hurting yourself. The more you do towards somebody else, you're gonna pay that 100-fold before you leave this earth. And a lot of the times we don't think about our karma. We don't think about what's going to happen because right now I'm so upset at you that I want you to pay for your mistakes, but whatever mistakes I've made, I'm not willing to look at. That's where you're lacking accountability and you really need to look within. So anytime you hear me talk about accountability or preach accountability, as some of you guys like to say, or preach kindness or preach compassion, that doesn't come from a place of me being perfect or me thinking that I don't make any mistakes. It is because I can see myself in another person. It is because I have made some mistakes that other people have, and grace has been extended to me that I'm able to extend grace towards others. People coming together in the name of accountability to cancel a person, to drag them through the mud. And in the name of change, you are the change. The change starts with you. But what you're doing is not going to get any change started because you are oppressing. And you're oppressing because you feel oppressed by those with more power than you. It is easier to look at somebody else's story. It is easier to look at what somebody else is lacking than to look within. And that's the problem with society nowadays. Everyone's preaching for change. Everyone's preaching for how things should really be and calling people out. But what we're doing is hurting each other more in the process. There's an obsession with tearing people down. And that is the scariest thing ever because it's always existed. If we talk about gossiping, that has always existed from generations to generations. And I like to call it a generational curse. One that I'm breaking in my lineage, and you take charge of what you want to do with yours. But really look within and question yourself. Don't think I'm trying to question you. It's food for thought. I'm sharing this so that you're able to really question yourself, and you don't have to tell me and I don't have to hold you accountable, but you can hold yourself accountable and say, you know what? I'm not going to entertain this anymore. Block. I've started to block every single gossiping page. I'll tell you that. And I don't care if later on you end up making a video of me saying like, oh, she blocked me. I don't know why she blocked me. If I see anybody making content about other people, whether I know them or not, and they're speaking ill of them, it tells me more about you than it tells me about that business, that person, or what is going on. Because yes, we're all entitled to our opinion, but we can share our opinion with grace. We don't never have to bring anybody else down in the process. People have literally made it a sport to expose and shame others. And it's not about justice. You want to call it justice, but it's not about justice. It's about control and clout. It's about being the one that brought that person down because your video went viral. And now you're digging all this information and creating content around it. And now your page is going viral because people love the gossip. So yes, anytime a page comes up and all it's talking about is influencers chisme or everybody's chisme, if you will, whether it's a business, an influencer, a person, whatever it is, I'm blocking you. Because number one, I don't want to consume that. Number two, I've been working very hard to get away from that because it's where I come from. Because it's where my family comes from, because it's how I grew up, and because it's always been a thing where I come from. Isn't it popular to go get your cafecito and chisme? Isn't it popular to go and have a couple drinks and tell each other the tea? And it's not each other's tea most of the time. It's what's happening with people that you don't even know. So yes, I feel very intense about this because a lot of the times for people on the other side, it's just about bringing people down, and who cares what happens to that person? Who cares if we bully them to take their life out? But it's not until they pass away that you're like, damn, like cyberbullying. Oh, okay. Now you're thinking about it because it went that far. You're not thinking about it in the moment because you just want to be a part of the takedown. There's entire accounts that exist that are monitoring and misinterpreting every single thing somebody posts. And the saddest part is that they'll go through people's videos and create their own compilation of those videos and make it seem as if they're speaking about a topic or as if certain things are happening based on their own understanding of what they're looking at. Because again, it's not about the truth anymore. It's about power. And let's be real, sometimes it's not even about what someone said. It's the fact that they have a platform. And based on your opinion, you don't think they deserve it. And let me just feed you with this really quick. Why do you think they don't deserve it? Is it because you come from the same background as them and you're not in the position they are? That stems from jealousy. And that jealousy has nothing to do with the person you're talking about. It all has to do with you. It's something you have to heal within yourself. The envy is what fuels it. The saddest thing is, and I've talked about this so much, is that cancel culture often targets people that are your own age, have your same background, they're your own gender and or community. And of course, they target those who are more visible, successful, or even celebrated. because the envy does not allow you to see the good in another person. All you're seeing is that this person is being praised for whatever gift they've been given, and you don't want them to be praised because maybe it's lacking in you. It's really not always about hate, it's about projection. And girl, let me just tell you this. If this does not resonate with you, if this is not who you are because you yourself are also trying to get away from this, I commend you, because it takes a lot to not participate. And I am very happy that you and I have connected, because I've always said it, my content isn't for everybody. People are now performing because of cancel culture. People are now doing certain things, not from integrity, but because they don't want to be canceled. And then others make assumptions that somebody with integrity is doing the same actions just so that they don't get canceled because of everyone else that is so performative. It's sad. It really is so sad. It's so sad to see, because I've seen it for the last month and a half, and I continue to see it over and over and over again. Whether it stems from a reality show or real life that people are going through, there's literally whole accounts on Chisme, and that just blows my mind. And again, it's not always about hate, it's about projection. Sometimes you don't hate the person, but what you hate is what they reflect back to you. Their success feels like a mirror, and instead of feeling inspired by them, you feel insecure. So what do? You weaponize morality to cancel them, when really you just don't want to feel invisible. When you're not in communion with someone, you are not in a position to correct. Accountability requires a shared relationship. And some people may say, okay, well, you're the content creator or you're the influencer, and I followed you based on these things and because I believed A, B, C, or D. That's fair. However, you still don't have the authority over somebody's healing if you've never actually sat with them. You only know what this person is choosing to share with you. You don't know them in real life. And these people are real people. They have feelings too. And just like you or anybody close to you, they pass away, they get sick, they get sad, they have feelings, and they also go through different things just like you do. Just because they don't share them doesn't mean that they're not going through it. And that's where compassion comes in. But we lack it, of course. As somebody who's not in communion with the person, you lack context. And so critique becomes assumption, because all you can do is assume out of the pieces of content that you have watched, and assume out of the stories that others have conspired so that you can go against these people. You can't demand access to their pain if you didn't sit with them through the healing. Call-ins require proximity, not just a repost. Now let me talk about something that a lot of you guys have questions on, because you see it over and over and over again, which is brand deals or partnerships. In case you don't know this, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's not so secret, but maybe because it's not your life or it's not something that you're dealing with, then you may not understand. When a creator has a brand deal or a partnership, they're legally obligated to post, sometimes by a specific date, regardless of what may be happening in the world. I know it's unfortunate, and I know from the outsider perspective, it may seem insensitive, but they are legally obligated to follow the contract. If someone doesn't follow the contract that they signed, they can be sued for breach of contract. So now we're getting into legal action. Now, you at your 9 to 5 or whatever job you may have, if you steal something, you get fired. If you're using company time to run your own errands, you can get fired. There's typically no legal risk there because they'll just fire you and then you just go and find another job. Cool. With brand deals and partnership, there's contracts that are signed that you legally have to abide by. So what may seem insensitive from the outside perspective can also be a legal risk. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is doing this or everybody is abiding by their contracts, because if there is something we know in this world, is that there are a lot of people who lack integrity. The problem becomes when you think everyone is lying simply to get a check. If that's your perspective because of all of the gossip you've seen from everyone else, you really need to check yourself, and you really need to come from a place of maybe understanding another's perspective rather than right away judging and thinking that they're not doing something because they're not going to get paid anymore. That's not always the case. When you break a contract, the brand can sue you for everything that you have. They can come for your car, they can come for your house, They can come for any asset that's under your name if they really wanted to. And being sued isn't cheap. Not just is your livelihood at risk, but everything that belongs to you is also at risk. And when people are in those moments of being furious for whatever they think you should be doing but aren't doing, they don't realize that everything is being attacked in that moment. So next time that you are so quick to act or say that somebody is not doing something simply because they don't want to not get paid, think about the fact that it's not just about not getting paid. At this point, I don't want your partnership anymore. But now, because I've signed a contract, you can come and sue me if I don't post this by a specific date. Now, you didn't just fire me from the job. Now, you're coming after everything that I own and everything that I am. And now, how am I going to pay my rent? And now, how am I going to buy groceries? And now, how am I going to get gas? But again, we lack compassion. I'm not telling you this so you feel pity for me. I'm telling you this so that maybe next time, instead of being so quick to judge and instead of being so quick to react, maybe you can think about the fact that if somebody's not doing something, it's not because they agree with one side or the other. Is because just like you're trying to protect yourself, they're also trying to protect themselves and their family. They're also human. They're also working a job that is entertainment to you, but is a job to them that pays their bills. It's really not as simple as don't post anything because this has nothing to do with what's going on right now. You're right. And it may seem insensitive, but if they signed a contract by a specific date and they need to post on that specific date and things are happening, it can literally be a huge consequence for one missed deadline. And again, I'm not saying everyone's going to understand. There's still going to be a ton of people that are not going to care because they don't care about you. They care about bringing you down instead, which is the saddest part, because here I go again telling you how much we lack empathy, how much we lack compassion, how much we lack grace, and how much we lack kindness. The same things that we're asking of others to give to us, we cannot extend to other people. Think about that. And then public callouts become harassment. People have literally shown up to creators' homes. People have literally shown up to people's businesses to trash them, to harass them. Death threats, talking to family members, even targeting family members. I'm appalled. Like, does that make sense? Are we seeing the bigger picture, or are we really so selfish because it's not happening to me, so I don't care? Or you're not doing enough, so I don't care? Are we seeing both sides of the scale? You're also in a position where you feel like other people don't care. It really goes beyond critique. It really goes beyond an opinion, and sometimes so beyond that people actually get killed. This is serious, you guys. It becomes a psychological assault. And once you get into people's mind, unfortunately, some people will take their own lives. But we're not thinking of that because we're so infuriated and upset at what somebody else isn't doing. We need to do better. This is exactly what this video is for. Not for me, but as a whole, if there is real change that you want to see in the world, it starts with us. If we don't see anybody happy around us, let us be happy. If we don't see anybody extending grace and trying to be understanding, let us be the ones that try to extend grace and understanding to others. Because everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. Even those people that you watch online, even those people that you watch on TikTok, even those people that you watch on YouTube, everyone is going through something that they may never talk about. We have normalized treating public figures, if you will, like they're not people. And the moment you start targeting someone's family, friends, their address, their job, their private life, their houses, you've really stepped out of justice and into obsession. And you've really stepped from a place of ego because you're doing it to get clout for yourself. Clout that, unfortunately, you couldn't get by just creating content about yourself or your life. What true accountability actually looks like is communion, relationship, humility, restoration. Real accountability says, here is how I was harmed. Here's space for growth. Here's what repair could look like if you really wanted to do better. Not judgment. The people I've grown the most from weren't the loudest critics. Because let me remind you, I'm not hearing your opinion of me, especially when it's not delivered gracefully, and thinking I need to do better. The people we mostly listen to, all of us, not just creators, are the people who tell you the truth and stayed to see the change. I can tell you from my perspective, especially on my personal channel and on my daily vlog channel, that I have people that have followed me since I started. And they will be the first to tell you that I am not the same person that they started watching 5-6 years ago. And I'm proud to say that. And that's not to say ever that I'm a perfect human being, but that is to say that when you allow people the space to grow and to heal and to do better, we are also humans and we will also try to do better when we know better. But you shaming someone into doing better or bullying them into talking about something you feel they need to do is not the way to go about it. You harassing them and risking their life because that's what you're doing. You think all you're doing is commenting something to agree with somebody else's opinion and it's your opinion too. So now you two are in agreement with this. And maybe you're not crazy enough to go out of your way and find their house or go to their house and show up at their job or do whatever, but other people will. Other people will. And you're not thinking of that. Not everything deserves a public response. We don't have to jump on every thread that's going viral or follow every takedown. This is when we need to choose discernment over drama and really ask ourselves, is this mine to carry? Do I actually know what happened? Before I make an assumption, before I agree based on somebody else's assumption, do I actually know what happened? Do I have the facts? Am I here to help or am I here to harm? Ask yourself that question. Are you here to help or are you here to harm? This cancel culture obsession isn't about justice anymore. It's about fear, performance, and control. But real accountability requires love, which then requires courage, and it requires community. Let's be people who know the difference and act accordingly. Let's give people time to evolve. And instead of saying, well, you made this mistake again, and here you are again, and here you are again, well, how many times have you gone back to your ex? How many times have you said you were going to lose 10 pounds and decided to still keep eating? And now I'm being funny. If you caught that, good. If you didn't, maybe you don't know my dry humor. Nice to meet you. But I'm being serious. Why are we shaming others for the mistakes that they continue to make instead of giving them space for growth? It's going to take time, it's going to take discomfort, and it's going to take privacy for each person to look within and figure out what they want to do, how they want to move forward, and what they choose to share with the world. You're not going to get every detail of every person. And the entitlement that a lot of people feel stems from you thinking you know the person that you're following. Remember that the algorithm profits off of your outrage. You're upset about something that's happening and people are continuously creating content around that thing you're upset about. And when you get enough people to be upset about something, that things become so viral, they're the ones getting paid. Those chisme pages that are constantly trying to hold people accountable, they're the ones getting the check at the end of the day. While you're commenting, while you're instilling outrage towards others, you're not getting the check. They are. The algorithm is literally engineered to reward this. It doesn't care about the truth because the app is still doing well, but it cares about your watch time and it cares about your comments and it cares about your reposting and your engagement. The same thing that you're putting these other people down for, it's what you're participating on and giving someone else the money, which later on, if you or somebody you love decides to become an influencer or a content creator, because now that's a thing, right? We know so many influencers and content creators, you're going to be part of the people that it's also hurting those people that now you love. Think about that. What goes around comes around. And it may not come the same way that you're hurting others, but it'll come. We're being trained to be reactive and not reflective. And it's costing people their peace, their livelihoods, their businesses, their families, all in the name of accountability. Silence isn't always complicity, sometimes it's wisdom. There is a time to be quiet, there is a time to speak, and you don't get to choose when it's somebody else's time to speak, not knowing what is going on in their life and just assuming that you know. Just because someone doesn't post about an issue doesn't mean that they do not care. People process things differently. Some people are grieving, working behind the scenes, doing more things than probably a lot of others are, or choosing not to contribute to the noise because even that is helping. The idea that everyone must speak immediately is performative. And I know only a fraction of people are going to understand that and get that because it really takes reflection to understand and studying social media to understand that this isn't principled, it's performative. Now, as a content creator and an influencer, I will tell you, we don't owe our pain to our timeline. We don't owe you that. Sometimes silence is the honest response because it means we're still listening, we're still learning, and we're still healing. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you in advance for being honest, for your courage, and for the love that you're sharing with the world, and for the compassion that you're extending even when you don't know what's going on the other side. I will see you guys next week. Bye.